guys. I'm Olivia Holaus.
I'm Portia Smith-Dejean.
I'm Christiana Lilly.
And we're the Palm Queens.
We're in the pink room today.
We are.
Switching it up at a content studio.
Yes.
Feeling super, which goes with our very, very demure.
Very festive.
Very ugly.
Very ugly sweaters.
I wonder who assigned this task to us.
Listen, I love ugly sweaters. Okay, I'm guilty. I don't know what it is about it. We actually did like ugly sweater parties like annually for years. And I just love it. It's the cheese of it all.
And my first ugly sweater party was at Boca magazine.
Mine too, actually.
Really?
Yes. I'd never done one before then.
Huh.
Is it getting old though, or is it still cool?
I think it's getting old. I don't know. I haven't
You
seen...
don't care, though.
I definitely don't care.
We don't either.
I definitely don't care. Mine has ornaments.
Mine's got the little elves, and you've got Santa.
I've got Santa.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you're listening to us and not watching, you need to go over to our YouTube channel so you can see this gloriousness.
Amazing.
And vote who has the ugliest sweater.
And I took it up a notch. Mine's a dress.
You're cheating, girl.
But you look like you're an elf. You just need a hat.
I do. Oh my gosh. But no, I love it. I love it. Absolutely.
So, ladies, did you know that after Valentine's Day, Christmas is the most popular day to get engaged?
No, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Really?
I believe it.
Yeah, me too.
I'll go on social media and it's always like, we did a thing or whatever other,
I know, the ring and all.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, it's a happy festive time, right?
It is.
So-
I mean, it makes sense, but for some reason, I just thought summer. I don't know. You're traveling. I
could see that too while you're on vacation.
I did not get engaged during Christmas, so
When did you get engaged?
we got engaged in April, not this April, like on an April day.
Yes. It was a day in April.
And we actually got engaged at a friend's wedding.
Oh.
Which shocks people
That
because
is-
they
yeah.
well, everybody thinks that like Jack got into like the aisle and like got down on one knee, but like nobody at the wedding knew.
Okay.
I was actually photographing my friend's wedding, and then he was like, "Oh, do you want to take a walk?" Because I had been like photographing the whole time. I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then he's like acting really weird and walking really slow, and then he proposed out on the pier, and then I had my freak out, and then I was like, "Well, I can't wear it." I was like, I can't go back into the wedding being like, guys.
Yeah.
So I gave it back to him, and then we walked back in and pretended nothing happened.
Oh my God.
Very romantic.
Well, I didn't want to upstage the bride. And she always tells me now, because we like laugh about it every year. Like when I'm like, happy anniversary, she's like, happy engaged anniversary.
Yeah. So
she was like, I
wait.
wouldn't have cared.
I got so many follow-up questions. So when you guys were at the pier, was it just you two?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he kind of just
Nobody
pulled you
else
to
was
the
there.
side.
Nobody
Oh,
knew.
Okay. Well,
But
then that's...
What prompted him, though, to ask for your hand in marriage at someone else's wedding?
I think he got swept up in it. And
But he had the ring in his...
Yes, apparently he had the ring in his possession since February of that year. And he was carrying it around with him from February to April, like looking for
waiting
the right
for
time.
an opportunity, and that wedding pulled on those heartstrings.
He was burning a hole in those fan pockets.
Yeah.
I know. Well, like my mother-in-law says, he does things at his own time. It's either right now or 5 years from now. Everything is like, I'll do it when I want it. So yeah, we got engaged on an April day.
Oh, that's cute.
At a wedding.
That's cute.
What about you?
Ours was also not in December, Christmas time, but it was in November, so still fall. But in New York, on the top of the Rockefeller Center, 11/11 at 11:11 p.m.
Oh, that's
But
nice.
the sad part was that apparently a bunch of other people had that idea too. So it was like
Everybody's like, you know what? 11/11.
Yeah.
All the guys got down on their knees.
Yeah, and it was like honestly just so magical and like literally it was like romantic. It was looked like a movie, and we had this random carriage ride with a horse, totally not planned. We were walking there, and this carriage just was there at night, and it was a brisk New York day in November. We got on the carriage ride. We went all the way to the top, and then
To the top where?
of the Rockefeller Center.
Okay.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, you just started seeing, like, you had this one guy and his girl, and I guess her best friend, and then they had a clock. And I kept saying, is it like Flavor Flav? Like, why do you have this clock? It's so random and weird. And then he just like saw it, like whoever's had the fastest, like to the T, drop, drop. And then poor my husband, he just is like, oh. And then he drops too.
Cute.
Yeah. But it was really cute because in that moment, I was still super shocked. I didn't know what was going on for the most part. And I had a feeling when we went through the security, but other than that, I was like, maybe not, because he had this bulge, and I was like, what is this? Your gloves are not that big,
Yeah.
but in his pocket, but because there's like, I guess like, what do you call it? Metal detectors, like to go to the top or whatever.
Yeah.
Who knew, right?
Yeah. Your rock was the heavy one. That's why.
And then it happened, and I couldn't see anybody else. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
It was in that moment just us.
So when you see 11/11 come up, when you're like, you see that all the time?
Big time.
Make a wish?
Yeah. So we'll text each other like happy 11/11. It'll be super cheesy.
And you guys just had your wedding anniversary.
We did. And we tried to, because 11/11 kind of like stuck out so much to us. And then the time when we originally, kind of our original anniversary too, but 11/11 was like, had pizzazz.
Yeah.
And then, but our wedding anniversary, we tried. We couldn't get it on 11/11. Just didn't work out that way. And so now we don't have two. We just do the text here and there for 11/11. But the wedding anniversary is the one that was like our number one that we celebrate now.
Nice. I love that.
I love that
Great.
too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And when we just came back from New York, we went back and showed the kids.
Yes, how was that? Did you make it to the Met?
I didn't make it to the Met.
Oh my gosh, we were just talking about that on episode 2.
I know. But it was really cool. I love New York around this time.
Yeah.
It feels like Christmas.
I agree.
Yeah.
Super magical. I think it's the most magical time
Big time.
of the year to go to New York City.
Big
I
time.
agree.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it's hard, I feel like, here to really get into the mood because we have the palm trees,
Yes.
the lights, but it's still not the same. You really have to work extra hard to get into that holiday mindset. Am I the only one?
Big
No,
time.
I feel the same way, especially when I first moved down here
Yeah.
a million years ago. But
Big time. I actually heard a story that people who put up their Christmas trees like earlier are happier.
Man, I had to get that Christmas tree up fast. It's been quite a week.
But yeah, so well, a big part of the holiday is cooking, and we have a treat. We have a special guest / chef / boss
yeah.
coming up soon, so stay tuned. Today we have Chef Lisabet Summa, and she is the Director of Culinary Operations for Big Time Restaurant Group. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to Palm
Chef.
Paradise.
And I heard you go by LB.
Yep, a little nickname because Lisa.
And we have this fun spread here that
My
she brought, which is like
goodness.
just ready for a holiday party here. Thank you so
Seriously.
much.
This is one of the things we feature on the menu at the restaurant, doing a selection of Italian meats and cheeses.
You can't go
Love
wrong
it.
with
Well,
that.
we're getting spoiled today. So
I know.
thank you.
Yes. Oh my God.
It's the holidays.
So I have to ask, your name along with one of your restaurants, is there some correlation there?
Yes, so Elisabettas, we have 2 Italian restaurants, one in Del Rey, and the other one is in West Palm Beach, right off of Flagler. That's a newer one. And originally my name was going to be Elisabetta, but you kind of have to say Elisabetta.
I love that.
And
It
so my
sounds so
parents
good.
said, well, we're going to Americanize and say Lisabet. And then my partners and I were talking, and I told them that story, and they're like, "That's a great name for a restaurant."
It is.
Yes.
So our first Italian restaurant. Well, we have 2 Louis Bossi's, so that was our first. We have 4 Italian restaurants. So Louis Bossi's is in Las Olas in Fort
the
Lauderdale.
courtouard at that venue.
Yes.
Well, that
dreamy.
is. I got the piazza named after me. That's Piazza Summa. And then we got the
Love
whole
it.
building. So then we opened Louis Bossi's in Boca.
Yeah.
Yep, which is right down the street. And next we did Elisabetta's in Del Rey. And then we did Elisabetta's in West Palm Beach. So we're drawing straws for the next restaurant, whether it's going to be Elisabetta's or Louis Bossi or, Giancarlo's, what, I don't know.
Oh,
Anyway.
and where? Can
Yeah.
you give us a little
There's
hint?
nothing happening. There's nothing happening yet. But we have the 4 Italian
But
restaurants.
we'll know first, obviously.
I've got your number. I'll let you know.
Love
So I
it.
heard you have 1,000 cookbooks.
Well, I think it might be more. I've
You
stopped,
lose count
I've
after-
stopped counting. Yeah.
Where do you acquire them? What kind of books do you have?
Well, I've been buying cookbooks. So I'm 64, and I've been doing this since I was 19. And I've been buying cookbooks since I was 19. So it's become a bit of an obsession.
Yeah.
And, I always say, "Ooh, I'm going to get it on Kindle. I don't need the physical book." But then I'm like, "Oh, but I want to take it to the restaurant and show the chefs." And, this one is really special. I've been waiting for this one to come out. So, I'm acquiring cookbooks in my collection.
That's awesome.
What's the oldest or most maybe rare or unique cookbook that stands out to you the most?
So I got a really rare cookbook that was a signed cookbook from Chef Jean-Louis Paladin, who was a chef at the Watergate Hotel, big deal French chef that came to the United States and really pioneered some ingredients being produced here, like in France. And I called up my friend and I said, "I am so excited. You're never going to believe what I scored. I said, "Oh, I'm not going to tell you. But if you can guess which cookbook I got that's a signed edition from the chef, I'm going to give it to you." And he said, "You got Jean-Louis Paladin." And I was like, crushed. I was like, I couldn't go back on my word.
You had to get
And I'm like,
You could.
Could I get that cookbook back? Like, it's been like 40 years. It's like, I haven't forgotten that. Like, I want that cookbook back.
Well, growing up, my mom always said, or she still tells this to me, if you want to, if you have a good cookbook, you can cook anything. Just read the recipe.
Yes.
But, how did your love of cooking really start? Did that start from a very early age for you?
I cooked at home. I really did. When I was a little kid, my parents would be outside working. My mom was a big gardener. My dad was a filmmaker, but a carpenter by hobby, and built every house we ever lived in. So they'd be outside working or painting or something, and I would prepare something for them. And so it kind of snowballed when I met a friend of mine that I was actually babysitting for, who had been trained at Leith's Culinary School in England. And she entertained a lot. And so one day I said, I think I really want to do this for my profession. And she told me a restaurant to go to, really good French restaurant in Chicago. And I knocked on the door and I waited for someone to answer the door, which they don't do in restaurants. You just walk right in and stuff. So I waited for a while and I was really shy. And then the produce guy came, and so I snuck in, and I ended up getting a job there, and I just fell in love with it. I really fell in love with it. And so that was a long time ago, and I've stuck with it ever since. And I've been with Big Time Restaurant Group for almost 30 years. Since we started, we have 18 restaurants. We own and operate Rocco's Tacos, which is our Mexican brand.
Right.
Huge.
Which we have the most Mexican restaurants of anything. And then we have the 4 Italian restaurants. And then we have a handful of other restaurants, City Oyster and Sushi Bar. We have a gourmet burger bar, Grease Burger Bar. We have City Cellar Wine Bar and Grill, which is like a California Italian grill. And it's just, Big City Tavern is on Las Olas also. We have 3 restaurants.
I love their brunch.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
That's actually where we went after my wedding. We told everybody to go there.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's awesome, because that restaurant's been there a really long time. Like, I feel like we kind of hold sway on Las Olas Boulevard, because we have 3 restaurants there. But it's changed so much. Like, when we opened City Oyster on Atlantic, there were not many restaurants there. And now on the weekends, I'm like, wow, it looks like Times Square on the streets. So busy. Florida's grown.
But how do you balance it all? I mean, that's a lot of restaurants to manage and oversee and to keep up with, the current times. So how do you balance it all?
Well, how do I balance it? I'm really generous with my time at work with people. I have a huge staff. There's thousands of employees in the company now, and we have really good people. And I think that's really what I feel sets us apart. So I'm not cooking in the restaurants anymore. I'm like in charge. And so I try to hire great people and mentor them and teach them and train them and inspire them. And, so my time off is really important, and that's how I balance it. So I work out, I garden, I have hobbies. And so when I'm at work, I can really be there. And when I'm not at work, unless my phone is ringing about something that's happening, then I can really get away. And I always emphasize with my chefs that balance in life is so important. Like I try never to call them on their days off because they're not going to be at their best if they don't have, even if they're not, they're not married, if they don't have a family, they have a life outside of work, and you have to respect that. And so the better balance that they are, I think the better employee they are.
Absolutely. The restaurant industry is just, it's different from any other type of business. It can be so consuming. So it's hard to do. I mean, it sounds like, oh, it's so easy. You just turn your phone off. But it's just, there's so many things that you have to think about even when you're off.
Yeah, I respect them.
I applaud you that you found that balance then.
Yeah, and I try to tell them that and encourage that. Yeah. And it's really important for the culture of being a chef so that they don't burn out. Because so many chefs get burnt out and then they become salesmen, or something because they've just had it. So I just want people to be able to work their schedule, have a reasonable schedule, work really hard and focused and get a lot done and while they're at work and then get away.
I know shows like The Bear.
I was just going to say The Bear.
Like shows like The Bear, people are like, I'm not even in the kitchen, I'm stressed out.
Oh, like, I could watch it.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, wow, everything she's saying sounds like The Bear. And I was like, do I say this sounds like The Bear?
Say it. Yeah. No, and my husband's in the industry and he's like, I don't want to watch it.
Yeah,
like, he's like, I already live it, I don't need to watch it.
I would come home from work and my husband's like, oh, so, I've got it all queued up. We're ready to watch a bear. Everybody says it's great. And I was like, no, I don't want to watch this.
You live it already. You don't turn it off.
It was really, it felt too real.
Yeah.
It really did.
So I guess they did a good job.
I think they did.
Because, they have me in the kitchen going, yes, chef.
Yeah. I was in the grocery store the other day and I was getting in line and I said, behind you to somebody. As I'm walking by, it's like a thing we do in the kitchen.
Right,
so,
right.
Somebody doesn't turn around with a hot pan and whack you on the arm or something.
Definitely do that in The Bear. They say that in The Bear.
Yeah, and everything is yes, chef.
I remember as a server and I forgot to say that, and this lady, she had huge boobs, and I had like a tray full of soda, and she just turned around and knocked them all over.
Behind you.
I didn't say behind you, and so it was really my fault.
There you
but
go.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah,
so even in our kitchen at home, we're like, behind you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's kitchen lingo. It has this whole other, the culture has its whole other vocabulary, but you saw a lot of that at The Bear. Yeah. But yes, chef is a real thing. And I call everybody chef, and dishwashers, line cooks, because for me, it's a term of respect.
Yeah.
And I want them to aspire to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's teamwork
so cool.
too.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's...
Yeah.
It's you can't do it by yourself. You need everybody to rally behind
100%
you.
100% in the kitchen. I always say, like if a chef or a line cook is on the grill station, I say to them, where are you working tonight? And they're like, chef, I'm working on the grill. I said, no, you're not. You're working in the whole kitchen. Everybody works in the whole kitchen. It's 360 degrees. Like when you walk by, did you notice that person should have been using a peeler to peel that carrot and they were using a big French knife? Like, stop, take the time, help the person on your right and left, and everybody gets better, and the whole thing lifts up and is a better enterprise. And
it's just such a finely oiled machine getting all that food out. Yeah.
I don't think I would make it at all because I'm terrible around the kitchen. But speaking about we're in the holiday spirit.
Yeah.
What do you do for the, holidays? Do you cook at home? Are you hosting? Any tips you can give us?
Are you over it by that point?
No, I love to cook at home.
Yeah.
I love to cook at home. It's just me and my husband, unless we have his kids visiting or something, or neighbors or friends. But I think that it's relaxing when I'm at home because, at work, it's like those little pieces of paper hanging up and you're watching the time and people are talking and you're listening and you're watching and you're seeing things and sometimes you don't even eat when you're at work because you're so busy. And so at home, it really is a time to, sometimes I try out a new recipe, play around with something at home. And other times it's like, well, what's for dinner, honey?
You're not worried about this needs to be out in 12 minutes.
But when you have professional training, it really makes it easy to be organized and at home, especially for the holidays. If you have a big party, it's like a piece of cake for me. It's about preparation in advance. Ziploc bags are really fantastic. I don't know what I did before I had them. But if you're organized, anything is doable. Like I back time everything. So I do the least amount I have to do at the last moment and everything I can do ahead of time.
Well, cheers to that.
Yeah.
Cheers. We had
Cheers.
some rosé here.
Yes. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
And I love having a big thing of vinaigrette made. I'll make like a quart of vinaigrette
that's a good one.
Good
and
tip.
keep it. Because then you can always, it's like, okay, we're having a salad for dinner because that's the time consuming thing about it, you know?
Yeah.
So if you have a little bit of leftover this, leftover then, some lettuce, you can call it dinner, and it's, you know, delicious with a glass
done.
of wine, and cheese.
Great
It can
tips.
be very simple dining at home. It's not fancy, that's for sure.
Well, thanks, Chef, for coming in and being a part of our episode today. My takeaway is I'm going to tell my kids that you started as a kid and cooking for your parents.
And they have to call you Yes Chef.
And they have to call me Yes Chef. And that's my takeaway. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, we learned so much. And I can't wait to kind of take some of these tips and try them over the holidays.
And if I mess up in the kitchen, I'm going to one of your restaurants for sure.
I love it.
I mean, there's always delivery, and you can pick up,
Yeah.
you know, that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a badass. Oh my God.
Yes.
She is the epitome of a powerhouse.
Absolutely. All of those like restaurants and they're heavy hitters. I don't like that's amazing.
I love
Yeah.
how you didn't want to bring up the bear and I brought up the bear.
I love how you brought up the bear. The whole time I'm thinking, oh my God, this is like the bear. Oh my God, this is like the bear. Ask her about the bear. Don't ask her about the bear. Ask her about the bear.
So you were talking about heavy hitters, and I mentioned how after our wedding we went to Big City Tavern. That's also where I attempted to tell my husband for the first time that I loved him. I don't know.
Oh my God.
We're getting your reenactment.
Yes.
No, I was there, and I don't know if it just like hit me or something, and I got all quiet, and then I was like, I have something to tell you, and then have you ever just like not been able to speak?
Yeah, like you choke up.
Yeah.
Which is a lot because I talk a lot.
Yeah.
So I
You
ended
talk
up going,
a lot, you write a lot,
Yeah,
you
you're
think
never
a
at a
lot.
loss for words.
And so then we were at the restaurant, and I'm like quiet, and then we're getting into the car, and then I was like, I have to tell you something that, and for some reason, because I guess I was 23, so I was like, it's bad.
Oh.
So I was like, you know, when you're 23, you're like, guys don't want to hear that. And he was like, are you breaking up with me?
You're like, no, on the contrary.
I know. And then I started crying, and then I was like, I think I love you. He starts cracking up,
love
like
it.
hysterical. And then we get to a stop sign, and he tries to pretend to open the door and like duck and roll out the car. But yeah, so when I think of Big City Tavern,
You think about the time you tried
to tell my husband I love him. Yeah, so that was.
But when you went out to
Almost-
dinner, did you like, was it in your mind,
No.
I'm going to say I love you tonight?
No, we were just going
Okay.
out to dinner
Okay.
and like, oh, we're gonna go to Las Olas. We're gonna go to Big City Tavern.
It's sounding a lot like the ring on the pier. sounding a lot like you guys are made for each other.
We wing it.
Yes.
Clearly.
I love it. I
That
love
is great.
it.
It's all about authenticity and being in the moment, and
Yeah.
you definitely are doing that.
Absolutely.
Like it's like we always say, it's like we do it our way on our time.
yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, she had mentioned that they also have Rocco's Tacos. So are you more of an Italian cuisine or Mexican cuisine?
Good question.
Fan.
So I think I'm more of an Italian cuisine. However, you get me the right burrito taco and I can flip.
And
I
you're
can,
there.
I can change sides.
And a good margarita.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It depends on my mood. And I mean, to be honest, Mexican food is kind of the basis of this podcast.
It is. Actually, you're right. I wasn't even thinking about that.
We have
That
had
is
all our most
true.
important meetings at Las Fajitas.
Shout out
Right.
to Las Fajitas.
Fajitas, mango margaritas.
Yes. On the rocks.
On the rocks.
On the rocks. No salt for me.
Yes.
Yes, I know.
All our
It's true.
brainstorming. I know it's crazy to think we had this idea, and here we are.
Yeah, a lot of great brainstorming and meetings took place.
And they will
Around.
continue to be there as well.
Correct.
So.
Correct.
Yeah, so we had our rosé today. So maybe in the new year or something, we're gonna have to have Las Fajitas margaritas to go.
Yep,
Yes.
we
A
will.
little styrofoam cup.
Yes.
We will. We do it very fancy here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I
in the
love
future,
it.
I also want to have, speaking of food, bringing on our food editor and also bringing on our arts editor and
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
able to talk about lots of stuff that we have going on.
No, we've got a lot of great things in the pipeline.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're
All right, well,
excited.
All right, well, that's it for us today. And so if you are listening to us, make sure you subscribe and like us on YouTube. If you are watching us, make sure you subscribe and like us on, what is it, Portia? We're like on a...
We're everywhere. But if you need a list, we're on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. I'm missing one. And Apple Podcast.
That's where I listen to all my podcasts.
Yeah.
And powered by Boca Magazine.
Powered by Boca
Correct.
Magazine. We're
Correct.
also on TikTok
Yes.
and Instagram. So give
Yes.
us a follow, show us some love.
Yes.
And yeah, this is Poem Paradise.
Yes.
Yeah, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
holidays.
Bye.